everybody. Welcome to Teal's Roadhouse. It's good to be with y'all again today. We have Miss Emily Roberts in the house.
Hello. It's so good to be here.
It is so nice to meet you.
Yes, it's so good to meet you.
So you're an East Tennessee girl.
I am. I'm so proud of it, too.
Exactly what part of East Tennessee?
Well, I grew up in Knoxville in a little community called Carnes, right outside of Oak Ridge.
Okay.
So we lived a little ways off Oak Ridge Highway. So that's the best way I can put it for folks. But I love where I'm from. I'm so proud of it.
It's such a beautiful country. Mm-hmm. When Helene came through, did y'all have any damage from the hurricane that came through there?
No, we didn't. We weren't east enough, but golly, that was awful.
You know, it was so bad, too. I watched that whole thing, and it was just so uncharacteristic of any hurricane that I'd ever seen. Usually when they come in and they make landfall, they kind of dissipate and start breaking down. That thing just kept gaining traction. It was, how do you even prepare for that? I mean, you're up in the mountains.
You don't.
I mean, you don't prepare for a flood. They said there were people sitting in their house watching the news, and rivers just washed them away. It's just terrifying. I mean, you can't even prepare for anything like that.
No, you can't. And you can't get word out fast enough.
No.
I mean, that was horrible.
And there's so many remote places up there for people that haven't been. A lot of small two-lane roads, lots of winding creeks and rivers and things and bridges crossing over all that. It's so remote, and really when things like that happen, it's not the easiest area to get into and get out of, because when you have bridges that wash out, there's really no way to access anything up there. It was pretty terrible. And good people up there too.
The best people.
Good country
resilient
folks.
people.
Resilient people.
Yes.
and self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about farmers and cattle producers, people that raise their own stuff, homesteaders.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just such good people up there.
Yeah, there are.
Good moonshiners, too.
That's what I hear. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know anything about that?
No.
Are you a big football fan growing up around
Yes.
Knoxville? Yeah.
I'm a big old volunteer fan. I will say my whole life, though, it was real traumatic to be a volunteer fan. So I was born in 98.
Okay.
Which was the last year we won a national championship.
Would that be Mr. Peyton Manning?
That would be Mr. Peyton Manning. And then literally my whole life, my dad would sit and look at the TV and say, we're snake bit. We're snake bit.
You know, the only thing worse would be to grow up in Arkansas and be a Razorback fan. Because you know how painful that is? Because we haven't had a national championship since God knows when. It's so bad.
Really?
It's painful.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit
And
better.
then you got
It
these
is
people from
painful.
Alabama. Don't you get sick of Alabama? Aren't you
I'm
sick
so
of
sick of Alabama.
I'm sick of it. I just have had enough.
I know. And honestly, this is horrible. This is horrible. I have a sweet husband, but he's an Alabama fan.
Oh, no.
I know.
A house divided.
A house divided. And when we beat Alabama 2 years ago, and when we were tearing the goalpost down, it was like the first time in 16 years or something that we had beat Alabama. I was in Nashville with my husband and his parents. My family was back home in Knoxville. I'm watching that stupid game on my TV with them saying wow, there's complaining about it. And I had to deal with that the whole time. I was texting my daddy, and I was like, I wish I was with y'all. I was like, I'm with these Alabama fans, and I can't even enjoy this win. And he was like, baby, you enjoy it. He was like, it's been 16 years since you've been able to cheer like this. So anyways.
I enjoyed the Vandy win last year, too, when they tore the goalpost down and carried them all the way to the river. I wish I could have been there for that. That was awesome.
That was even better than, honestly, Tennessee beating Alabama. It was Vandy beating Alabama.
I agree with you, girl. Absolutely. So let's talk about your journey. I know you were on The Voice, and are you out with Blake right now? Are you getting ready to go out with Blake for the summer?
I was. So I'm done with Blake for this year.
Done
at
with
least.
him.
I'm
Finished.
done
Had
with
enough of his ass.
He's been awesome. I've been on the road with him for 2 years now, and I've learned so much from him. He is a goober.
Yes, but he's so talented.
But he's so
really
talented, and he makes a room full of 15,000 people feel like they're in the living room with him. And that is a gift. You know, sometimes you look at artists and they're incredible, but you feel so separated from them. Like they're up on the stage and they're the star, and you're out here and you're just observing. You're not involved. And I feel like he does such a good job of bringing everybody in, making them feel like they're a part of it, which is so special. So I've learned a lot from him. And but we're on the road right now with Megan Maroney and Cody Johnson and Clint Black.
Nice.
So a good crew of folks.
That's awesome.
I know. Yeah.
And what were you on The Voice 2 years ago?
Okay,
Or
yes,
three?
The Voice.
Two. Yes.
Sorry, you asked me that, and I went down a different
That's all
rabbit
good.
trail.
That's all good.
So I was on The Voice 10 years ago this
Has
year.
it been that long ago? And I'm curious. I mean, I really don't watch it that much anymore. And here's my reason why. It's not that I don't enjoy the whole premise of it, but I kind of got away from The Voice and American Idol and all that stuff several years ago because I'm not home enough to be consistent when I watch it. And if you miss one or two episodes, then you fall behind. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if I don't get locked in and get engaged, then I don't get disappointed. So I just can't keep up with all of it. But I've always been curious to know what behind the scenes are like, what kind of pressure they put you under, how it elevates from week to week as you go through the process. When you first got picked to make the TV show, let's just start from that point. What's your first week like as you're getting ready to do the first taping in front of the panel of judges?
Kyleigh, it's like boot camp. They have you in media training. They have you in, wardrobe and hair and makeup. They I probably went, my blind audition outfit that I auditioned for The Voice in front of the judges in, I had probably been in that look 5 times before I was actually on stage in it. So like those, when you're watching the show and it's like, the artist standing there with their mom and daddy and they're talking to Carson Daly and, he's saying, tell us about your story and all this stuff. All that stuff is pre-filmed.
Yeah.
So you have got like a whole week of just all of that stuff for them to get in the can. And then it's finally time to do.
And they want to make it look like it's all that day leading up to you being on that show. So you have to put on that outfit several times throughout the week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I threw away my blind audition outfit and I shouldn't have, because I should have kept it for a keepsake. But I was so tired of it. By the time that I got done, I was like, forget this crap. I threw it away. I didn't ever want to curl my hair like that again or nothing. Because it was stressful too. I mean, I had never experienced anything like that in my life. I was 16 and the only thing I knew about music was like playing local gigs in East Tennessee. Yeah. I played at a Mexican restaurant and I played at like little fairs and festivals and competitions, and that's the only thing I knew about it. So I went out to LA. I had never even been on an airplane before.
Oh, goodness.
And it was just like this huge shock of show business, honestly. So anyways, that week was wild. And even the morning of my blind audition, my lobby call was like 5 a.m.
Yeah. And
I didn't even do my blind audition until probably 7 that night. And they just have you sitting around waiting. It's stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very stressful. But I learned a lot and I wouldn't trade it for the world because like I said, it is boot camp. You get experience of like hair and makeup and wardrobe. You get experience performing under like really intense circumstances and live television and cameras and crowds and of course this like celebrity panel in front of you. So that's a lot of pressure. You get experience on a red carpet and doing interviews, all of it. I mean, it's kind of like a boot camp.
Do they have you work with the band too directly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Paul, what is his last name? We're going to have to Google it. He's the leader of the band for The Voice. Is it Merkovich?
He's looking it up.
Paul
Merkovich.
Merkovich. Yes. Okay, he is the real deal Lucille. And he is the band leader for that whole crew, and the band is so good. And I will never forget, we have band rehearsals and stuff before every like live show and performance. And he would say to all the contestants, he's like, I don't care who your band is. I don't care who they've worked with, what they've played on, or what they've done. We're better. We're the best band you'll ever play with. And that's like how he introduced himself. And I was like, okay. But they were incredible. They were absolutely top notch and wonderful to work with. So
is every week as it progresses through all the way up to the latter stages, does the intensity and the pressure increase? Does the workload increase through the week? I mean, is it palpable? Can you feel it?
The live rounds especially, and The Voice is different now than it used to be. But when I was on the show, we had from mid-October to mid-December, I think it was like, it might have been 8 weeks or more, live rounds. And that is literally every single week there is a live show and then there is a live elimination. And so you have got 2 days where you're obviously filming that stuff live and you're on national television, but all the other days are preparation for that. And I'll never forget finishing a live round, and Blake had to go do something. I forget what he was busy doing something, and he had literally that evening was all he had to film my rehearsal for next week's show. And it was like the live elimination was that night, and some of my friends had been sent home, and they were like, okay, Emily, next week you're going to sing 9 to 5. They changed me into a new outfit. I'm crying because my friends just got eliminated. And I'm also like, I can't sing Dolly on national TV. I'm scared. And so I'm like letting my tears fall to the floor, you know. And they're like, get out there and do your thing. So we had to go out there and do that. And then during the week, you're in fittings for the next shows. You're in studio because that's how people vote, is downloading the songs off iTunes and streaming them on Apple. And so you're recording the music. You're doing more interviews and social content. I mean, it's nonstop.
What's the social media focus on? How much stuff of that do you do during the week when you were there?
Well, so when I was there, we didn't have TikTok or anything like that yet, but we did have Instagram. We had Facebook, and they were really good about providing you with fun content, you know, and setting things up during the live shows and during the elimination rounds and stuff, where they would have, like, you know, cool parties and things that you can get cool pictures and videos and stuff like that. So they kind of set you up for success.
Yeah. When
it comes to social media. But they do kind of leave the ball in your court, and they'll give you some coaching and say, hey, you should post a thank you for, you know, XYZ, or you should do this, that, and the other. They kind of give you some ideas, but they kind of let you run with it.
Really?
And it's up to you, you know, how much work you're going to put into it or not. And I'm thankful for that training all those years ago, because it really set me up to learn, gosh, if I'm going to create something online, you know, a community with my fans, then I've got to do it. You know, I can't count on somebody else to do that and it be successful. It's got to come from me and my perspective. And
I'm sure you've carried that on into where you're at now.
I
after
have.
You left the show. Right after the show was completed, your first year out, what did you do that next year? You said you were 16, so you went back to school. Were you
went
doing
back to
road days?
school.
Did you work that summer?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your strategy when you got done with the show? Because you finished second, right?
I finished second, which was perfect.
Yeah. So you didn't have to go out there and carry the ball of all of it. You kind of got to acclimate back into real life and then figure out what your next step was. And how controlling were they? Didn't they put like the top 5 or something out?
They
on a
used
tour?
to, but they didn't do that. They had the option to do that, but they didn't do that. Now, the winner just automatically was like signed to the contract that we all signed at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that just went into effect, and that was their life. And so I was very blessed to come in second place. And I was a junior in high school. And so originally I thought, oh, no matter what happens, I'll go home and I'll finish out my senior year. But then I got off the show and I was like, I want to come to Nashville. I'm ready to work. So I doubled up and I took my junior year classes during the day and my senior year classes at night online. And I was touring at the time. I was doing a lot of solo dates. Just me and my guitar.
Yeah.
And I had signed with WME in Nashville. And so they were bringing, you know, show offers in and stuff like that. But I got off the show in December, graduated by May, and then I started working in Nashville in June and never looked back. Started co-writing and touring. I had written, you know, some stuff by myself, but I wasn't ever like my passion, especially back then. It was always performing and entertaining more than it was like writing.
Yeah.
My brain is a crazy place. And so when I would like sit down by myself and like try and make sense of something, like co-writing was beautiful for me because I could like talk to other people and bounce ideas off. When I write by myself, I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, I had written some, but I never co-written. So I got to Nashville. That opened up like a whole new love of songwriting for me. Started doing that. And but I didn't release music. I released an EP in 2019 and then didn't release my debut album until 2022, I think.
COVID was right in the middle of all that stuff
Yes.
too in there. So that probably
That was
had
like a year
a
of
year and a
nothing.
half, or year and a half of nothing. When the whole thing was shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's got to be. I mean, just coming from a small town in East Tennessee, getting thrown in the mix out in LA, and then trying to navigate your way to where you are now. That's a pretty good journey. I mean, because the fascinating thing for me with all the commonalities, and that's what I try to find on this show, is the common ground that we share about the passion for music. But every journey is completely different.
I know.
And some of them are a little bit difficult. Some people have kind of had it real easy. How do you feel like your journey's been so far, and what do you think the next step is for you from where you're at right now?
All in all, I am very blessed and grateful to be where I am. And I wouldn't trade these years. It's like I said, it's been 10 years since I was on The Voice. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. But sometimes it is hard to see folks come to town and in like a year they're on the radio.
Yeah.
And they're hoop-de-doo. That's
hoop-de-doo.
That is sometimes really hard. And I used to struggle with it really bad. I'll be honest with you. I used to get the green-eyed monster bad. Because I would look at it and think, what the heck is wrong with me? Why is it taking me so long? But I will say, I have had so much time to learn and grow and build a foundation for myself and my brand and my music and who I am. And when I get those opportunities, and now I feel like I'm getting them, of being on those bigger stages, I feel like I'm ready for them because I've been able to mess up at the little shows where there was 10 people, and they were half watching anyways. So that is a blessing, even though at the time it was kind of heartbreaking, And I went through a process after The Voice, especially because everything was so instant on that show. You sing on national television, and the next morning, your cover of 9 to 5 is #1 on the iTunes country charts.
Yeah.
And that's what
It's a false sense of reality.
Oh my gosh, it was.
Because when you step off that stage and you get rid of out of that platform, reality is a hard thing that's going to slap you right in the face.
Yeah, it don't work like that in the real world.
No, it does not.
And I had to learn.
Even when you have a major record deal, it doesn't work that way.
I know. Yeah. And I learned that the hard way. I told my mama, and you saying like you didn't watch The Voice, or you don't really watch it much anymore. I couldn't watch it after I got off of it because I thought, somebody needs to counsel those babies. Somebody needs to tell them that it ain't like this in the real world. I would like watch the show and be like so upset for them because I'm like, who's going to tell them the truth? But so anyways, that was like a really tough thing for me. But, even though it's been 10 years, I think I am a believer, and I know that the Lord's timing is best, and I think that everything is happening right on time. And if it takes me a little bit longer to find my way, then so be it. I'm not planning on going anywhere.
And at least you will have a better perspective, because the music industry as a whole is not an easy thing to wrap your brain around. There's so many different factions of it, from the publishing to dealing with a record label and social media and publicists and managers and booking agencies and all these things, and just trying to understand how it all fits together and who does what, why they're relevant. I mean, it's a lot to process just coming into it. I mean, just to try to understand the lay of the land.
And it's changed even in the 10 years that I've been here.
Oh, without a doubt.
When I first got here, it was nothing but we've got to get you a record deal. Okay. 10 years later, I've yet to sign a record deal. And sometimes I look around and think, oh gosh, do I want to sign a record deal? Because this business is so crazy. And I have seen the power of social media change people's lives and change my life.
How much social media do you do right now on your own? You post every day?
I post every single day.
You have a certain time you post?
I post in the evenings, most of the time around like 5 to 6 p.m.
Like a quick post? I mean, do you do like a 10, 15-minute deal, just an update of your day? What do you do?
Well, I do a mix. So okay, this is going to be so fun to talk about this because I'm so passionate about social media. So on my page, I try to do a mix of like curated content is what I would call it. So stuff that is professionally shot, or, like fancy stuff that looks like star material, So what I'll do for that content is I will have probably 2 days a month is what I try to do, where we'll set aside a whole afternoon to batch content. I'll get a bunch of different outfits together. We'll film as much content as we possibly can. All of that goes in a Dropbox. I can pull from that on my busy days because I'm working every day. I'm writing. If I'm in the studio, if I'm on the road, chances are I'm not going to have free time to sit down and make content.
Yeah.
So I've got something to pull from constantly. So I always have that in the can. But then I think that it starts feeling, I don't know, just not genuine and like real and entertaining if it's nothing but like fancy content. So then if I do have some free time, I'll like film myself crocheting and just talking to the camera about something that I'm going through or something I've learned, or I'll get my guitar out and I'll play a song that I wrote, that week that is important to me. And I'll do some more like real life, relatable, not so fancy stuff. And I think that's a good mix because it lets people peek behind the curtain, but then you've still got the stuff that looks legit, which I think that stuff is what feeds the algorithm to get new people in. I think the more real stuff is for your fans that are already sold and there. But you have to, I think, feed both. Because like used to with Instagram, you would post and it would go to your followers. Nowadays, Instagram and TikTok, you're trying to get on those like For You pages where you're trying to reach new people, not so much just the people who follow you, but new folks. So anyways, that's like my routine. And, but I also, this is a pro tip for any of these. I should get paid for this. For any artists that are watching this, listen to this tea. So I study social media like it's college. I didn't go. I barely graduated high school. So I study social media because it is my job. And I have noticed all of these artists, these big artists, have got all these fan pages that are just filled with like spam of, okay, we're just going to pick Ella Langley. Okay, love her to pieces. She has got Ella Langley Archive. She's got like Ella Langley this, that, and the other. It's these fan pages that are just repurposing content and spamming the internet with Ella Langley. And it's genius. All of these artists do it. And they hire marketing agencies to come in and put these fan pages out there. Well, I said, I can do it. So I don't have a big fancy marketing agency, but me and my husband have got 4 fan pages for me. And we also feed that with just all kinds of content. And so you're able to like hit people from a bunch of different angles. Instead of just blowing up folks that follow you, you can have this other page over here that is just supplementing content and getting your name more and more out into the world. So that's what I do as well.
That makes a lot of sense. You seem like you're a very old soul.
I am. I call myself Yeehaw Meemaw. One part yeehaw, one part meemaw, because I love the old stuff. And that's been an interesting thing in this business too. When I first got to town 10 years ago, like Kelsey Ballerini just blew up and Maren Morris, and it was all like pop country for girls.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not me. But it does feel like music is coming back around to the style that made me fall in love with the genre in the first place.
When you were growing up, what was, I would imagine Dolly was in there. What was your top 5 female artists that you loved?
Alison Krauss, Dolly Parton, of course, Patti Loveless.
Yeah.
Patty Loveless.
I know.
I saw you covered a couple of her songs on your TikTok.
You can feel bad if it makes you feel better. I love her. Okay, Alison Krauss, Dolly Parton, Patti Loveless. Honestly, and those are like my throwback girls, but I was a huge Miranda fan growing up too. That was like my era.
Yeah.
When I was being raised. So I was a huge Miranda fan. Of course, I love Carrie too, but really, those 3, oh my gosh, you know who I want to sing like when I get to heaven? Sonia Isaacs. Do you know Sonia Isaacs?
I do know Sonia Isaacs. She is such a sweet lady.
Oh my gosh.
She really is.
And she sings like a angel bird. I love her. So she was a huge influence to me too. And she does like gospel bluegrass stuff, but her voice, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'd say like Allison, Miranda, Dolly, Patti, and Sonia. Good
What's
crew.
your favorite roller coaster at Dollywood?
The Wild Eagle.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. The way your feet dangle and I take my shoes off because I'm a hillbilly and I just let my toes go.
I love Dollywood. There's great coasters there if you're a coaster fan.
There are such good
They really
coasters.
are. And the Pancake Pantry, it's hard to beat.
It's so good. Have you ever got the cinnamon bread at Dollywood?
I'm sure I have. I'm
Yeah,
sure I
it's
have.
good.
It's legit.
Yeah, it's addictive.
It's so good.
I love
Yeah,
that place.
me too.
It's such a beautiful part of the country. I love to go get a cabin up there and just take the family and stuff. It's such a wonderful place.
I know. It's so good.
Yes. So what's next for you? When you working on a new project right now?
I am working on a new project.
Writing a bunch of stuff?
I am,
Yep.
yes. And I'm recording a bunch of stuff, and we're recording it different. With my last record, can I talk? With my last record, we would record a big, like, batches at a time.
Yeah.
I basically had, like, 2 sessions, and we recorded, like, the whole project in, like, 2 big old things. So it felt like it was all done in one fell swoop. But this one has been way more inspiring and fun because I've just recorded 3 songs at a time. So just little bits at a time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I leave the studio more inspired and more, like, aware of what I need, and really, like, just seeing the projects, like, come together little by little. It's been really fun. So with my first record, I felt like I wanted so badly to just, like, introduce myself and put my stake in the ground of, like, I'm Emily Ann and I'm country as cornbread and you better like it, But with this record, I feel like, okay, I've introduced myself, and I think that I made that plain. Now I feel like it's when you really get to know somebody, and you, like, the first date you get to know them, but, like, the second and third date you, like, really get to know them. That's how I feel like this record is. I'm trying to dive deeper into stuff that I haven't talked about before, and that I think is important, and that either makes me laugh or cry or feel something, because I think that if it makes me feel something, hopefully it'll make somebody else feel something too.
So from that little girl that went out and did The Voice 10 years ago to where you're at now, just from getting the perspective of traveling and being out in the world and flying and airplanes and all those things, how much has it changed your songwriting perspective as you go in? Do you feel like it's broadened you?
Oh, absolutely. It's broadened me, because I really, for a long time, felt like I could only write about what I knew personally.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of my songs sounded alike because my life was so in a bubble. There was really nothing crazy or out of the ordinary to it. But it's been really, really cool as I've even met new people. I feel like I write about other people's stories so much more than I even write about my own story. That's been something so neat, and I'm sure you relate to this. There are people all over the world that you have met through your music that you would have never known otherwise. And that's been the neatest thing about this career. I have got friends all over, I feel like. And I'm like, gosh, I wish I could just come spend an afternoon and get coffee with y'all, because you meet people that your path would never have crossed with. And I love getting to hear their story. It gets me out of my head to put myself in somebody else's shoes and write about that. And I'm doing more of that too, because I'd love to know your opinion on this, but I think that girls, especially in country music, everything is very autobiographical. And I think maybe they feel like they need to do that. Maybe Taylor Swift started that. But if you think about women's records in country music over the past couple years, it's like, I got a divorce. Here's my divorce album. I'm falling back in love. Here's my diary of falling back in love. It's very, this is my truth.
But it's really hard not to do that when you're in that bubble and you're making records. You feel like that's what people want from you. They want to be able to connect with you. And whether you do it intentionally or not, the public perception, and I'll give you a for instance here in a little bit, the public perception is everything that you put out is a personal thing. Whether you wrote it or not, they identify you with that song. And I'll give you an example. I've told this story on this podcast before, but when I cut Time Marches On, I had my reasons for cutting it. It had some shock factor to it, but the lyric of that song was so powerful because it covered multiple generations of a family. I didn't write it. Bobby Braddock wrote it by himself. I just recorded it. I thought it was an amazing piece of art. It really affected my father because there's a line in the song that talks about Daddy's got a girlfriend in another town. It affected my parents' marriage.
No.
Big time. It affected his relationships with people because they thought I wrote that song about him. So I never thought about that before. But people connect you with that material that you put out, whether you do it intentionally or not. That's the way they perceive it.
That is so true. I mean, that is so true. But I think about, like, the women that, like Reba. Nobody thinks that Fancy is like Reba. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Fancy was a remake. Fancy had been done before.
I know, yes, it had been done before.
Yeah. But they still don't, they don't. It's almost like that song's in third person though. They never perceive Reba as being that person. It's from an outside perspective.
Yes, you are exactly right. But I think that there is more of a shift of like, I don't know if everybody's music back then was so autobiographical as it is now.
Either. But do you think that a lot of that is because we open ourselves up so much through social media that we already have allowed people into that, so that's just the way they perceive it?
Yes, and you're probably right, because if they know, like, well, she ain't living like that, I follow her online and I know how she's living, then like maybe they don't think it's that genuine. But there is something to be said about storytelling. I mean,
without a doubt. And Dolly's made a career of it, telling those stories from a personal place. But 9 to 5 wasn't from a personal place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's still capable of stepping outside of her own self and looking at the perspective of what other people go through. That's what makes a very good songwriter.
Yeah.
Being able to step out of your own life and put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and be able to deliver that message where it's believable and people connect to it. That's the power of music. I don't really know what the answer is. I know what you're talking about, and I heard some Kelsey Ballerini references in there. You know, when people go through a divorce, a lot of times that's where your head and your heart are. That's what you want to talk about.
And the art is incredible. So it's not saying that people shouldn't do that. But just, I don't know, as a female in this business, like, until somebody brought it to my attention, like, and my publisher is the one that brought it to my attention. He was like, a bunch of your songs are autobiographical. I think that you could like tell more stories and write some stuff from different perspectives. And it made me realize, why are my songs so autobiographical? And I feel like that's what I have learned from the other women in this business.
That was Loretta Lynn.
I know.
I mean, so much of Loretta was completely autobiographical. I mean, she wrote about her entire life, so it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
But what is a bad thing is if you don't live enough life to give it a perspective. But you can find colorful imagery in every aspect of people's lives.
Absolutely.
If you're crafty enough as a songwriter. Yeah. You can always find a way to deliver that message where people can relate to it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's very interesting.
It is. I find this business very fascinating, the ins and outs of it, and try to understand what makes people tick and what motivates you and what moves you. I mean, you're connecting with people on an emotional level all the time, and that's a very powerful thing.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah. And it's a responsibility, I think, too. I mean, especially, like, there's a bunch of young girls that come out to my shows and sing my songs, and I think about them when I'm in the writer's room. I think about them when I'm in the studio, just because I don't know, I want to be aware of what I do, because I know that this music and my brand, it means something to folks, and they feel like they know me and they're involved, So
you seem very self-aware of who you are and what it is you want to project. Are there certain topics as a songwriter and as an artist that you steer away from, that you wouldn't record or sing about?
Yeah, and this makes me a fuddy-duddy, but I don't want to like glorify, and this is hard in country music because it's like the drinking genre, but I don't want to glorify like being drunk or leaning on the bottle for stuff.
Yeah, but that's your personal perspective.
And that's my personal perspective. But when I'm in a Blake Shelton show and he sings, the more I drank, I'm partying with all of them. I'm like, yeah.
But that's not what you want to project.
But that's not what I want to project.
And I understand. I respect that.
That's not what I want to project. So there's things like that I won't dive into. And then I try not to use foul language, because I don't want a mama to have to. I remember growing up, mama would like turn the radio off, at a certain point and stuff. And I've had so many mamas come to my shows and say, I'm so glad that I can turn your music on and not worry about what my babies are listening to. And that means something to me.
It does. And it can also be a little bit limiting.
It can be limiting. And some people look at it like, I have had folks dig into it as if like, people have given me lots of opinions on like my stances. And I don't think badly of folks who, like I said, I'm partying with Blake and he cusses in his songs and he sings about stuff that I ain't going to sing about. I love it. I enjoy it, but I'm not going to stand on stage and do it. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like it ain't from like a bad place or like
a judgmental
place.
Yes.
It ain't from that.
Yep.
It's just my own personal like stance. And I think that if I had a little girl, I'd want to try and protect her innocence as much as I could.
And I
And
think
so
I would like to believe that we live in a society. I'd like to get us back to the place where people were allowed to have their own opinions and their own views, and everybody else didn't get offended by it.
No,
I mean,
I know.
because I believe something doesn't mean I wish ill will or I have any hatred towards you or anything else.
Or that-
it's just
yeah.
my opinion and my own personal code about what I believe in and what I don't believe in.
Yeah, or that I'm right and you're wrong. I don't
No.
think anybody's wrong for doing that, and I don't think I'm right for not. Literally, it's like you said. It's just my opinion, and it would be nice to be able to go back there. Some people can handle that, but then other people can't. So,
Well, and this is a business where, over time you have to toughen up. Your skin has to get a little bit thicker too, because this business will chew you up and spit you out. It can be quite painful. You've already experienced some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the highs and lows are pretty extreme.
they're so extreme, and just when you think like you're
I've
onto
arrived.
something, it'll humble you quick,
Big time.
Yeah, and that's something that's so interesting too. When I was on the road with Blake last year, he was kind of talking about some of his, like he recently just signed at a new label, and he was thinking about switching to a new label. And I remember him talking about that and talking about some of like the issues that, he was facing after we had literally just played a sold out arena show. And I would look at him and think, gosh, it's just probably smooth sailing for him. That's just me being delusional. But for him to sit and talk about the ways that he was struggling, I thought, this never ends. The struggle never ends. I don't think you ever get to a certain level where you're not still fighting. Right? Do you feel that way? At least
I'm always fighting.
I know.
Always.
And so, but the thing is, outside looking in, I look at you and think like, oh, well, what's he got to prove at this point? He you're the real freaking deal. But like, it's in some ways, it's discouraging to know that you never arrive. But in other ways, it's encouraging because it's like everybody goes through it. You're not alone in it. It made me feel like, oh, the struggles that I'm feeling in this business, even, Blake Shelton feels that,
And here's the thing that I've really tried to learn from over the years. The reality of it is you don't get in this business for money and fame and glory and all that. You get into it for the passion.
Yeah.
And if you get into it for the right reasons, then the rest of it is just all the things that stuff can ebb and flow. But as long as you keep that part of you intact, they can't ever take that away from you.
No.
That's the most important thing that you got to remember, in my opinion.
Somebody put that on
On a T-shirt.
a T-shirt, and let's all wear it. Oh my gosh, yeah, that is so good, and that's so true.
It is.
Yeah, because all this other crap.
You ain't taking none of the rest of it with
No.
you. Yeah, that stuff you got in here, that's all you taking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so good.
Yeah. Wow. So tell me about your crochet.
Okay, I'm gonna
I've been
teach
waiting.
you. I'm gonna teach you how to crochet.
Here we go.
Okay, so I know I said I was Yeehaw Meemaw, so I brought a couple things. Do you know about crochet?
I know what it is.
Yes. Okay. So everybody will say like, Emily's knitting again. It's not knitting. So knitting, you use 2 needles. Crochet, you use 1 hook. And you can make all kinds of things. So like, here's a little beanie that I made. But what I love making are squares. And I make dresses and all kinds of
Pot
stuff.
holders.
No, we're not pot holders. So I make little squares and then I sew them together and I turn them into like sweaters, dresses, bags, stuff like that. So you can make all kinds of squares. I tried to look for some camo yarn for you, but I've used it all up. So I have this green yarn that is a little bit tougher. Okay, so I'm going to chuck this at you.
Okay.
So there's your yarn.
Oh, Lord.
And then I've got my yarn. Oh, and you can make all kinds of things. I've got a big look at this one I'm making right now. A big blanket. Well, it's not done yet. But see, it's this big old cozy, thick.
Now, is that an Afghan, or is there a difference between Afghan and knitting and crochet?
An Afghan, I feel like, is it's kind of like a throw, right? And a blanket
Are you
is
learning
like
things?
I'm so educated now.
yes, an Afghan is like a throw, and a blanket is like a full blown. Like this would be a blanket. Afghan's a little bit lighter, but anyways, okay. So there's that. Let me get us a hook.
So while you're talking through this, tell me where this started for you. Was this a family thing that you started doing with your grandmother and your mom and stuff?
Okay, no. So my grandmother didn't do this, but my great grandmother did. I never got
Okay.
to meet her, but I heard about it. You're gonna get a pink hook.
Okay.
I never got to meet her, but I heard about it. And anyways, here's how it started. I love being creative, and music has always been a creative like outlet for me, but sometimes I want to be creative but turn my brain off from music. I just need like a brain break.
Yeah.
And so that's where crochet came in, and I've been doing it for like, I don't know, probably 8 years. Okay, so are you a fisherman?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how to make a slip knot?
I do.
Okay, so don't use your hook yet. So you're going to make a slip knot with your yarn. Let's see if he knows how to make a slip knot. Wow. This is concentration. Okay, now in this loop, you're going to, wait, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Good. Left-handed people can't crochet. Okay, so you're going to put your crochet hook in your right hand.
Okay.
You're going to stick the hook through the loop, and now you're going to pull that slip knot tight on.
Okay.
Good job. Okay, so now we're going to teach you how to make a chain. This is all Ellen. Do you know Ellen Langley? Have you ever?
I do.
Okay, this is all she knows how to do, and I've got to get her past this level. So what you're going to do is this is your working yarn that's attached to the ball. Yes.
Okay.
You're going to put that yarn around the hook, and then you're going to
On the top?
on the top, and then you're going to pull it through the loop with the hook. So slide it. Yeah, slide. Okay, slide. No.
Okay.
So
wrap
it around.
Okay.
And then you're going to use your hook and pull that hook through the loop.
Nope.
No. Okay, hold on. Let me turn this way. See, we're far from each other, so it's kind of hard. Okay, so let me go back to where you are. Crochet ASMR. Okay, so can you hear my hook and my yarn?
I watch that stuff constantly.
Okay, so what you're doing here is I like to hold that little tail in my little hand like that so it keeps it steady, but I'm going to wrap the yarn around the hook.
Okay.
And then you're going to pull, and this hook is going to grab this loop. It's going to pull it through the loop on your hook.
So I'm going to wrap it, and then I'm going to do this.
Uh-huh. And then let it snag that, and then pull that first loop over the hook. Yeah, you can use your fingers.
No. No.
I do believe you could do it if you kept practicing. Okay, so
I'm going to go home and work on it for about 2 weeks. Okay. So we're going to do this. And
you've
pull.
got too many loops on there.
I just need
You're an
one loop.
overachiever.
I need one loop.
You just need one
I
loop.
need one loop.
No. Okay, yes, like that. Okay, and then let that loop that you put around, let that go under the hook. So watch me. I've got the loop on the hook, and I've got this that I wrapped around the hook. Okay, there's a little crevice in there. Okay, so you want this new loop that you wrapped around to get hooked in that crevice, and then to hold it there. So then you're pulling a new loop through. Do you see? Wrap around. You're pulling a new loop through the loop that's already on the hook, and the hook is doing the work for you.
You can get up and move if you want.
Okay, I'm going to.
Oh, there ain't nothing to it.
Okay.
Like that?
You
I
might
think
be
I did it.
painful.
I think I did it. Did I do it?
No. Okay, look. So, okay. You got your loop on your hook.
Okay.
So you're going to take this yarn, wrap it around the hook. See how it slides under there? Pull it through. Wrap it around, pull it through. Wrap it around, pull it through.
There's a
Okay,
pattern.
I got you.
You see? Okay, now try.
Okay. Wrap it around. Pull it through. That ain't working really easy. Yeah.
Well,
Wrap it around and pull it through.
He's saying it right.
wrap it around,
Saying it right.
pull it through. Wrap it around and pull it through.
Good rhythm.
I think I've done screwed up.
This weekend.
Okay, well, listen,
I
A
don't
for
think
effort.
this is going to be something I'm ever going to be able to do. Now, I did underwater basket weaving at church camp, though.
Okay.
Kidding.
Okay. I was about to say, what?
You have to hold your breath a long time.
What? Okay, well, here's the deal.
Okay, here's the deal.
I'll say that that's your yarn, and I'll make something pretty out of it. I'll send it back to you, and we'll
Okay.
tell everybody that you made it. How's that sound?
Okay,
Okay.
that's a lot.
But once you get the hang of it, like I should have been doing it the whole time we were talking because it's very mindless. You can just like chill
Yeah.
and just do it.
And so when you get a strand done, I guess you
go back through it. So like, okay, so say that's my little chain. Then
that's what you call it, a chain.
a chain.
Okay.
So then I go back inside the chain and I start working down the chain
I
again.
think we ought to make them try.
Get over here.
Yeah.
Get
Don't make me the only
over
one that looks like an idiot.
Here.
I know I can't.
Get over here, Junior.
Let Junior do it.
You sit right over there. Here, I'm gonna let you have that.
You
one.
want to sit with me?
Yes, I want him to sit
Okay.
right there.
Hold on. I have all my yarn.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right.
You want to cut that and start over?
Hold on.
There
Well,
we go.
I might just keep you on loop. That way I get a head start.
Okay, hold on. Let me
I
start.
probably
mine
messed
over.
it up.
Watch this. I bet I can do it without you even showing me. Wait. Wraps around.
Okay. Let me teach you
Now,
something.
how does it?
Okay, let me teach
See,
you something.
it's harder than it looks.
It's around on you.
Yeah, hold it. Hold the tail.
Oh, that's why.
And then I put the tail from
then you
each hand to
grab
the
it.
next. So
Okay.
hold the tail here and then switch it to here and then pull and let the hook.
Now
do
do
the
that
work.
real slow. Do that last one real.
So, do you have a group of ladies you go sit and do this with, like a
Okay.
book club?
Oh, I see now. I got you.
Do you see? So,
Well, all the old shows, all the old women get together and they gather up and they crochet.
yes. So listen how cute this is.
Tell me
so
about it.
my husband and I joined a little church after we moved to Nashville. Did you do it?
I did it.
And on the screen, he actually is
See?
doing it.
Bless him.
Oh.
And then he messed up.
I had it and then I undid it.
Well, hey, that's really good. You're at least getting started, and that's all that matters.
I know you did. I'm proud of you. Scott says no.
But we joined this little church, and on the screens one Sunday they were like knitting and crochet ministry, and I was like, I knew the Lord led us here for a reason. And so, anyways, I go to the first meeting. I'm so excited, and it's literally me and everyone else is 60 and older.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, y'all are my people. And it was so much fun. But you know,
I bet they loved you.
I loved them.
Oh, yes.
We swapped recipes. It was so good. It was so good. But now I have started Yeehaw Meemaw's Country Crochet Club. And I've only had one meeting, but I plan on doing more. And it's been really cool because I share so much of my crochet with my fans and online. And so many folks come up to my shows and they will have crocheted themselves clothing for my shows. They'll crochet me gifts and they'll say like, I'm a Yeehaw Meemaw too. So I feel like I've got this little community of old souls that we all get to
Okay,
enjoy that together.
where's the biggest pocket of your Yeehaw Meemaws at?
I don't know.
You hadn't identified. You don't have a hot spot locator on your Facebook page or nothing.
No, but I'm gonna put a poll up. I'll put a poll
I mean,
up.
it's got to be in the South. That's for sure.
It has to be in the
I
South.
can't imagine this happens a lot in California.
No, although they would probably think it's cute and cool. They'd probably want to buy it for money,
Yeah.
for money. But and people have tried to say like, can you sell your crochet stuff? But I don't want to turn it into a job. I feel like music, I have to really, really fight for music to stay a passion because it used to be just a hobby and now it's literally how I put food in the fridge. And with crochet, I don't ever want it to become like a job. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So
Without a doubt.
I refuse to sell anything. I'm like, put your name on the wait list. It might be 10 years, but I'll get it done at some point. But you ain't paying for it, So it's just a fun thing.
So are you upset that Joanne's Fabric's going out of business?
Am I upset?
That's got to be awful.
It's horrible.
My mother's name is Joanne. My daughter's name is Joanne.
My grandmother's name was Joanne. But yes, I was so sad. I thought this is fake news. Has to be. There's no way. I have literally single-handedly kept this company in business.
I think Hobby Lobby's going out of business too, aren't they?
I think I heard that actually. That's funny.
Or
Okay.
Big Lots. Maybe it's
Yeah,
Big
it's
Lots.
Big
I'm
Lots.
thinking it's
Okay,
Big
that's
Lots.
fine.
Yeah.
Big Lots
Big
can
Lots
go. I don't care. But don't take Hobby Lobby.
And Joanne's Fabric.
And Joanne's Fabrics. Here's what I'm saying. if I am ever rich, I've been poor my whole life. And if I am ever rich, there will be signs because Joanne Fabrics will be reinstated, and I will be the anonymous donor that revived her like Lazarus back from the grave. I will. There was nothing wrong with her. She was a blessing to all of us, and I'm really sad that it's gone. But it's okay. I'll just go to Hobby Lobby. So.
Okay, outside of crocheting, what are your other hobbies when you and your husband are not on the road and you're not doing? Are you a passionate cook? Do y'all like to fish? Do you hunt? Do you do any outdoor stuff?
Yeah, I love the outdoors. Now I don't like to hunt. I've only tried. So do you know Trent Willman?
Yeah.
Okay, he's my producer.
Yeah.
And a sweet friend. He took me out hunting, and I didn't even see a squirrel. I sat out there for 2 days, all day long in the frigid cold. He didn't even tell me I could bring my phone. He was over there scrolling, and I'm sitting there like, what am I supposed to do? So I don't know. I think that maybe if I'd had some more action, I love it.
Okay.
I want my husband to kill the deers, and I want to cook it.
Okay.
I love to cook. We have chickens. We have a garden. I'm a huge gardener. I'll have to, now that I know where you live, I have to be bringing you some stuff.
I wish you would, because my wife and I can stuff. I haven't done a garden in the last couple of years, but I usually do like 20 tomato plants. We'll do squash and zucchini and all that stuff. I mean, bell peppers. I love fresh garden. And we can a lot of stuff too.
We can too. Yeah. So those are a bunch of my hobbies too. I'm a bread baker, so I bake bread for fun. I love to read. I am the hobby queen. Me and my friend, do you know May Estes? Have you met her?
May's been on the podcast. She's sitting right there.
I love her. You've got good taste.
She's a sweetheart. Love her to death.
Yes. She has looked at me before and she's like, how do you have all these hobbies? Like, she's like, my hobby is country music. Like, that is my whole life. And I was out with Megan Maroney the other day, and she was like, I have no hobbies. I was like, I will be your hobby teacher. Like, I'll give you inspiration. I love hobbies. But yeah. Now, fishing, we used to fish all the time back home in East Tennessee, but we haven't had luck. And we live near the lake here in Middle Tennessee. We don't have a boat, though. We just fish off the dock, and we...
Yeah, you got to get out. There's a lot of crappie beds and stuff on Old Hickory. There's a lot of stripers. I've gotten some striper out there on there that'll literally jerk your arms off. That big striper hits so hard. There's a lot of fish in Old Hickory. And Percy Priest got a lot of smallmouth and big crappie. A lot of big crappie on Percy Priest, too. I love Center Hill. Have you been up to Center Hill yet?
Yes.
Center Hill's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And nobody can have like houses on it, so it's very
not inside the state park, but as soon as you go outside the boundaries, if you're on a boat, you can go past Edgar Evans and get outside of the state park. Alan Jackson had a house up there for years, and a lot of people. As soon as you get outside the state park, you can have houses.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it is beautiful out there. Yeah, we do love that, but we don't do that as much. But yeah, hey, now here's one thing. Excuse me.
I saw that.
Can't hide country. I guess it just okay. Anyways, so my husband and I, we bought our first house 2 years ago, and we started this page called Sasser House.
Okay.
And we are renovating our first home because it's a total fixer upper, and he's like a handyman. He does all the stuff. So that is another big thing that we do for fun, and it's my husband's full-time job now through the YouTube and TikTok and all the social platforms and stuff like that. So that's been a fun thing too. So we get to do that together.
He's wearing me out.
You're from Tennessee. Get it, girl. Hey.
Boom.
Maybe I stunned him. I don't have his guts on me.
We have a lot of flies in Tennessee.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have lots of hobbies that I enjoy. But what about you? What do you, I mean, I know you probably love to hunt.
I do love to hunt. I love to fish. I love golf,
Yeah.
all those kind of things.
I love to drive the cart.
Yeah, I do. I love being out here where we are. I've got turkeys all over the place out here. I could come in at night. There could be 20 deer on one side of the driveway and 20 turkeys on the other side. I got a couple little foxes around here. There is a fat groundhog that lives right here at the bus pad where these buses park. He's about this big around, about that long. He's a big fat boy that kind of hangs out down
Well, you'd
here.
think he's been eaten.
whatever he wants, it looks like. And I did have a little otter in my pond down there, and I had stocked it up, and he just about decimated all of my catfish population. I thought he'd killed them all, but I've started seeing some catfish come back, and the otter's gone. We must have had a rainstorm that pushed him down, but he had a big time out there for a while.
Wow.
And they will decimate your catfish. They love catfish. He pretty much ate all the catfish out of my pond.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he had a big time.
I guess he did. He was probably a fat otter too.
He was very fat and very
Yeah.
happy. I think he decided to relocate.
Yeah. Maybe somebody put him on a diet plan.
So do you like living here in Middle Tennessee more than up in the eastern part of the state? I mean, Knoxville's a completely different culture up there than it is here.
Yes, it
and
is.
this city has gotten so big. I don't think I would enjoy living downtown. I love it being close enough to access it when I need to be downtown and do business. But I like being a little bit removed from all the chaos. Downtown's gotten a little crazy. Do you go down and do any of the bars and stuff periodically and just kind of pop in and sing?
Okay, periodically I'll play like Old Red.
Yeah.
Blake's Place, but yeah, no, I don't go down there often.
It's overwhelming.
It's
isn't it?
very overwhelming, and it's overwhelming at all times of the day. So yeah, I don't do that much, but I'm with you. I like living outside of town. I like being able to go to Nashville to work, and then I love getting out. It's kind of like decompressing to even just get in the car and have a little bit of time to like think about your day and then move on to think about things other than just work.
Yeah.
So I do like Middle Tennessee, but I do miss home. But it's very interesting how like home can shift. Whenever I first started working in Nashville, I always thought maybe I'll have a house in Knoxville, and then maybe like one day I could have like an apartment or something small in Nashville and just come here to work and then go back home. But I don't know. I've made so many friends here. I feel like I've put roots down here too.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that East Tennessee is just like 2.5 hours down the road.
Oh, it's not far at all.
It's not far.
It's not
so
bad.
yeah. So
I mean, you could actually make the Dollywood in about 3.5 hours. You could get up and leave at 5 in the morning and be there when the gates open.
we
I
should
know.
go right
I
now.
know.
We should go right now. Let's fire this bus up.
So what's the next step for you? You touring a lot this summer?
I am. I'm touring a bunch this summer, and I'm releasing new music.
Yep.
And that is really the focus. Is finishing up my second record and getting that out there to the world. So that would be the next thing, and it's exciting and kind of scary. Did you ever get scared when you were putting out new music?
Not really.
Yeah, you're a man. You probably don't.
It's almost like it's like conquer this thing. It's kind of a rise above and like
I need
just
some of that.
I got so much momentum early on that it was really just you just get that momentum and you just kind of roll with it for a while. And I tell you what, the hardest thing that I found over there is when you lose momentum. It's hard enough to get it the first time, and getting it back after you've lost it is even harder. That's a struggle in itself.
Golly, yeah.
So when the first time you went in the studio, I'm always curious. You'd never been in the studio before. How overwhelmed were you to walk in there with all those major A-team players and stuff and hear how quick they put songs together? To walk in with a work tape or playing a song on an acoustic guitar and see a guy chart that thing out and run through it twice and go, wow. It's pretty amazing.
It is amazing. And I love bringing, I experienced it on my own the first time. I didn't have mom and daddy there or anybody, but after I saw those musicians at work, I was like, everybody's got to come see this. So I would tell my mom and daddy, and they would say do they have the song for a while? Do they practice it?
No.
I'm like, no, they heard it 2 seconds ago, and now they're about to go play it better than anybody's ever heard it in their lives.
So that's where Derek came from. Derek worked at the Sound Emporium when I met him and came out. So Derek plays acoustic guitar, second guitar on the road, and Scott is piano, organ player.
Oh, fun!
So I mean, when I remember being at Sound Emporium, we cut some records there. Allison Krauss had cut there. Robert Plant had cut there.
Oh, Brother
Did you ever get to work
Rockdown.
with any of those guys?
I got to work with Allison on.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou was cut there, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was.
Dan Kaminsky did all that stuff there at Sound Emporium.
The 2 records of the year that had come out of Nashville up until that point when I was there, it was 2013, maybe something like that. But both of the records of the year that came out of Nashville were also recorded in Sound Emporium. Pretty sure.
Wow.
Then, but yeah, worked with Willie in there. I mean, Kenny Chesney,
cool.
bunch of them, man. Allison, man, she was hilarious.
Allison's funny,
and
man.
she doesn't have to warm up, man. She just goes out there and sings like an angel. But she had this the windsuit pantsuit thing. So the jacket and the pants that sounds like they were like,
But she
you
likes
have
to
to take
scream.
that jacket off now.
Allison loves screaming rock and roll like
Oh, yeah,
AC/DC, and she loves all that. Oh, that's what she loves, and she has a foul mouth too.
Screaming AC/DC.
Amen, baby, absolutely.
But it sounds so heavenly. It's beautiful. Yeah,
She loves that hardcore rock and roll.
she's awesome.
Yeah, she's
That's
really
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
She's so cool. Oh
Had
my
you not met her?
gosh. No.
Yeah.
And I would love to. Yes, I think that she's the real deal, Lucille. Nobody sounds like her in the
Nobody.
whole world.
No.
In the whole world. I know. Yeah.
Who
that's so neat.
else haven't you met that you really want to meet that you looked up to? Have you met Dolly?
I did get to meet Dolly on The Voice. She came on to mentor us, and this is so sacrilegious, but it was like seeing Jesus. It was literally like seeing Jesus, because it's like somebody that you've like heard about your whole life, but then you like see them in the flesh, and it's like they're real, you know. So that was amazing, and she gave me the best advice. So she just came on to talk to us, and her little. I'm sure you've met her. Her legs are about as big as my wrist.
She's teeny tiny.
She's tiny. So she's talking to us, and everybody on my season was so much older than me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what can I ask Dolly Parton? Like, I'm never going to get another opportunity to ask her something. It has to be good. And everybody's asking these questions. They're all very, like, business focused. I'm like 16. I'm like, the only thing I know about business is my dad paying me to help him clean buildings for $50 a month. Like, I don't know anything about business. So I'm like, just like, what can I ask her? I was so homesick. And so I thought, I wonder what she does when she's homesick. So when it was finally my turn to ask, I said, I'm from East Tennessee too, and I know that it means so much to you, and it means so much to me. And I said, what do you do when you get homesick? And she said, oh, I've been so homesick over the years when I'm working on, you know, movies or whatever, and I have to be gone for extended periods of time. She said, but I'll always get out my guitar, and I'll close my eyes, and I'll sing those songs that me and Mom and Daddy used to sing on the front porch. And she said, I can picture them with me. And before I know it, I can hear them singing along. And she said, I'm right back there with them. And I was like, okay. Like, oh my gosh, I can cry thinking about it. So just really, really sweet. She was wonderful. So she was somebody that I loved to, like, some people you meet and you have such high expectations, and then you're a little let down because, hello, we're all human, you know. But I was not let down with her. Somebody else that's been so sweet, Vince Gill. What a doll baby. I love him. He has been so sweet to me. And he gave me great advice. He told me, Emily, you can't focus on the results. You have to do this, like kind of what you said, for the love of the music.
Absolutely.
He said, because no matter how good you are, no matter how good the songs are, you can't control the outcome. So if you're focused on that, you're going to be miserable. You have to be focused on why you do it in the first place. And I was like, okay. And that is great advice. But I will say there have been some times where my dad has brought up that advice to me on hard days where, like, I'm getting no thrown in my face, or you're still not ready yet, or your songs aren't there, and all this stuff. And my dad's like, just think about what Vince Gill said, you know? He's like, you got to just focus on your love of it. And I'm like, I hate that stupid advice, because I'm like, you work so hard in this business. Of course you're going to focus on the results. You'd be psycho to not. But it's just having your heart in the right place. I know that, like, what he meant by it. But sometimes on the hard days, I have to remind myself, like, all right, Emily, you know, all that, like you said, fame and success and notoriety, it's so fleeting. It is so fleeting. And so it ain't going to fill up your cup for long. So you have to draw from a deeper well, for sure.
Yeah, because if you're relying on that to fill you up, then you're going to be constantly chasing it forever, because you can never get full from it.
No.
Because one number one record, you just want another one and another one and another one. Any accolades you get, you just, if that's what you're basing your career on and not just the joy of the craft, it's easy to get lost in it.
Absolutely.
And we're all guilty of it at times too.
Oh,
it's hard
yeah.
not to be, because you're striving for success, and you want to be as big as you can. You want to achieve all these things that you dreamed about, and you know, it's good to keep it all in perspective at times, because ain't none of us getting out of here alive.
No, I know, you're exactly right. Yeah.
I've really enjoyed visiting with you today.
Oh, I've enjoyed it too.
I hope as the next year or so goes on and we see what the next chapter of your life is like, that you'll be willing to come back and talk with me again so you can give me an update, and maybe I'll practice a little bit next time.
Yes.
See if I can make some progress. Give me all of your social information where
Yes.
people can find all your stuff.
Well, of course, I've got my website with my dates and all that stuff, emilyannroberts.com. But then my Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, EmilyAnn_music. So you can find me on there. If you want to follow along with me and my husband's like home projects or garden, canning, cooking, crochet, that's all at Sasser House, SASSER House. So you can find us on there too.
And I apologize, I didn't use the "and" when I introduced you at the top of the show, but I'm going to do the outro. Emily Ann Roberts. Thank you so much.
Buddy.